myself. Here we go. There we go. So, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Um, just coming on, this is episode number 4 of the John Drop. And if you look at the title, there is no end game, just growth. And that's really it in a nutshell when it comes to life, when it comes to sales, when it comes to, how you want to progress through life. Reason being is there's no end game, meaning that it never ends. Every time, we get hit in the face by life or by whatever situation, you get up one more time, right, and you try again, and you get up one more time and you try again, and hopefully, when you're doing that, you're taking stock and inventory of what was your accountability in that, right, and not just putting it off on um, not just putting it off on the fact that the markets were bad, or the your dealership was slow, or no one was answering the doors when you knocked on their doors. You know what I mean? So no matter what it is, what is your accountability in that? And what you'll find is um, it's actually freeing when you do that, because you start to realize you have more control than you think of your own life, and that life isn't always happening to you. It could be happening for you, even in those bad moments, or even in those challenging situations. Um, if you can really grab hold of it and see what it was, what you really prepared that day for going out, what you'll find is, if you weren't really prepared and you didn't do the work you needed to do, or that you needed to do but you didn't do it, and you said you did do it, and but you really didn't, uh, and that day going out, the person you were supposed to meet, that big customer, no showed you, right? And so you looking at that like, see, this always happens to me, and it's more, now it takes the onus off of you, that you weren't prepared, right? But it's like, no, it's their fault. They did a no show. What a shitty customer. Why would you do that to somebody? But what happens is, when you all of a sudden, you do the work, right? You get prepared, and out of nowhere, that customer calls you and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, I had to go out of town, emergency. I'm sorry I didn't get in touch with you, but can you pass by today or tomorrow?" And now you're all of a sudden you're reinvigorated, but you don't even realize the fact that that's when the universe is conspiring for you, because it don't work against us, knowing that if you would have went there unprepared, that customer would have ate you alive, because you did not know your business, you did not know the subject matter like you should, because you weren't prepared, right? You were going to just go and wing it. And so that was a blessing in disguise, that happened. He had to go do something, or she had to go do something. You went on to, by just by share of 2 or 3 days passing, uh, you had to get up to date on that information, whatever you needed, and now all of a sudden that client calls back. They know they did a no show, no call, and now you're prepared and going to that meeting, as well as whatever business you got during those few days that customer was gone. And that's why it is always important, right, to not wear the disappointment or that victimhood mentality to your next appointment, because when that happens, what really happened, if you take that scenario, right, and this is what happens, I'm telling you, it happens 90% of the time, if you think about it. That customer, you weren't really prepared, but anyway, that customer no showed, no called, right? And then if you say, wow, that's a I am very grateful that this happened, because I'm going to try and reset this appointment, but I really wasn't prepared for that. And then, instead of going into your next appointment upset, trying to put the onus on the fact of this customer no showed, and making this whole scenario up so you can go and justify to everybody why you couldn't do something, right? You kept it. You were in a good frame of mind, knowing that, okay, great, I wasn't prepared, and I didn't screw this up. I didn't screw it up because I wasn't prepared, because they couldn't make it. And so now your next appointment, you're going into with a great mindset, and your next one, and your next one. And so now you have a better chance, or you have, it's your really only chance to close those appointments. So now you're getting more business. You didn't lose the big one because you were unprepared, right? Because they no showed, but you kept a good attitude, right? It's such, it's a little tweak in behavior. It's a little tweak in mindset, but it is huge. It is huge. And so now what you did was you closed two or three deals. Now you get the call back from that customer saying, "Hey, sorry, I had an emergency. I was out of town, but hey, can you come meet me today?" And now you're prepared for the meeting as well. So now you closed a couple of more deals, and now you're going into that big one, as opposed to that, yeah, that no show. Even though you know you were going in there unprepared, that no show, what that led you down was this despair and this victimhood mindset, and it always happens to you, and everybody else would is lucky, and you're not. Whatever you tell yourself, right? And then you take that negativity to your next appointment. There is no way that you are going to get any business. It's just, you're not going to get the business that way, because everybody wants to feel that they want to see your enthusiasm. They want you to have that passion for what you're selling, the conviction in your voice, the you convey everything through that, your mindset, because that is where growth is. That is the true measure of what you're doing, and who you are is in here, right? In here, in here, and in here, right? And so if you don't have that going in, you're going to find it very difficult to have anybody listen to what you have to say, let alone deal with their money, right? Or deal with their whatever you're trying to sell them. So now what you did was you missed the first appointment, right? And now because of your attitude, you didn't close any other appointments. Probably maybe you didn't even go, or whatever you did. You showed up late. You were miserable. You didn't get any other business. Now that big guy calls back, or that big woman calls back, who you were waiting on, and now you're happy again. But what you did is you wasted 3 days of getting business and gaining momentum, and putting you in a superior mindset because you built momentum. Now you have this big customer back, in your sights, that you're going to go in on. And if you get that business, that would be great. But look at the time wasted. Look at the other appointments that you could have really done well and left your mark on that week. Like, this was an outstanding week. Instead, you let it get away from you because of mindset. So again, there's no end game, just growth. And when you understand that there's no end game, you understand that you are going to constantly get knocked on your ass by life. Just going to happen, right? And every time it happens, it's going to get harder and harder. And when you look at it like that, and you say, how hard can you get hit? What type of shot can you take and still get up and move forward? How hard of a shot can you take, get up, and still move forward in gratitude? How hard of a shot can you take? How fast can you get up? How fast can you move with gratitude and appreciation in your heart, truly and genuinely moving on to the next customer, moving forward, saying, is that all you got? Is that all you got for me? Because I'm still moving forward. You took my legs out, I'm back up, I'm still moving forward. And that's the universe making sure that you are going to move in a way where you have gratitude, you have faith that it's conspiring for you, and you are also a contributor in your own life, being a co-creator, right? You're not sitting back and just hoping and crossing your fingers that shit happens for you. So the the title of this is just, it brings, so I could have a whole show just on the title of this, on this. So and when you start to gain the momentum of mastery in certain areas, literally it's limitless what you can do. And I think we're all a work in progress, me included. But I think, where I've been, and it, on here I share so much, but on one-on-ones, uh, in Zoom, in Zoom mastery calls, in sales training calls, with the clients that I do have, and the one-on-ones that we do, this is like right now, this is like baby food, but when we get into those type of sessions, this is very personalized, where I am very much talking with you and uh, talking you through whatever type of challenges you're going through. Because what I can tell you is that almost 55 years old, I've been up and down. uh, you know, I don't come from anything. I don't come from money, right? I was the first one in my immediate family to even, to go into, to think to even go to college and work a white collar job. Um, and that's just what I was the first one to do. And so I was literally like a fish out of water. I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know who to get advice from. And so I did well. Sometimes it was by luck, sometimes it wasn't, but I got to a certain point where when I got a mentor, all of a sudden it started to connect a couple of dots, and I started to just take off. And what happened is, what you realize is, every 10 years or so, there's going to be a correction. There's going to be a 2008, right? A big recession, something like that happening. There's going to be natural disasters. There's going to be scandals. There's going to be a war. There's going to be whatever, these things happen in cycles. That's how it works, right? It's how life works. There's always going to be the four seasons, right? And we know that, after summer, we're going to go into fall. And after fall, it's going to go into winter. And after winter, we'll have spring, right? And then after spring, it'll come into go into the summer, and we know that's going to happen, right? That's the pattern, right? And so there's patterns to most everything if you can read them. And so, you know, I've been through so many, because I had to step on all these landmines myself until I got into like my mid to late 30s. Um, all of I and I started to realize to get a life coach, and to get mentors who were where I wanted to go. But also, there was some of the mentors I was listening to that were they were so they were so accomplished. They were so making amounts of money that I wasn't near at that point. And so it was just, I was looking at it going, yeah, I'm not relating to this savage beast of a, thing that you keep putting out. Because I want to know, where were you when you were down around my level or lower, and how'd you break out of it? That's important, because that's where most people are when you're looking for help, right? You're not looking for help when you're making, a couple of $1 million a year, or whatever you do, whatever your goal is. You're not looking for help, right? You're everything's going good, and you're moving forward. But when you need help is when you're trying to move forward, and you continually are getting, kind of knocked on your butt, because you're running into the same obstacle, and you can't get over it. And it's these everyday obstacles. How you dealing with family mixed with trying to balance it with work, and how you're doing that. How are you doing that best to make sure you're present, whether you're at work, you're 100% present and getting the most out of yourself, or you are home and you're getting and being present in your family, and you are getting the most you can out of your family life, which is also very important, because you also need time for yourself to kind of, whether you like to meditate, or whether you like to just sit and kind of rewrite your goals and see where you're at and see what type of growth you're having and what you need to move forward. That's where I think someone like me comes in, because not only have I've been through it, right? I've been through it. I knocked down to a point where most people would have been crippled, if they were walking in my shoes years and years ago. They would have threw in the dice, right? But that's what I like to do with my clients. I like to call them my family. They're like my extended family. Is I show them how to move forward, and it's not from theory or from any. It's from my personal experience of getting hit, and stepping on these landmines, and coming back. And it was the one thing before I knew about all this self development and mindset stuff, and how it was, and listen to some of these these great men and women out there who really were a big help. Um, I was doing it. I just didn't know the names for, like, there are names for everything, right? Just like when I'm selling, there's names for all these different types of closes, and I had no idea. They're saying, "Oh, did you use the Ben Franklin close? Did you use the this close or the that close or the doorknob close?" And I was like, I don't know what that is." And then they explain it, and I go, "Oh yeah, 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 I do that." And I realized that most of these people are reading books and they're just reciting what the books say, and they're reciting just the names that coined phrases that other people that were successful used, and now they sound like they've been successful because they know the names of some of the what the closers are, but they weren't natural closers like I feel I was, or natural rapport builders, or natural, kind of human, have that human, can connect with other humans almost instantaneously, uh, by doing like certain things, right? And how to create that rapport, and how to do the things that could move you forward, not only in a sale but in life, but also when you do, again, when you get hit, how you come back from it, how fast you come back from it, what are you doing to come back from it, and then also how are you paying it forward to help other people. And that's really what that, what I do is. So anybody, if you need anything, please reach out in a comment, and I'll be happy to go through a consultation with you. A 15-minute consultation to see what you need. If it's something that you want to move forward with, then we can. And if not, no problem. You can listen to the show, and I hope you get as much out of it as you can. So to move forward, or before we move forward, one thing is, I this is my wife Lisa. This is her book, um, Visions of Shadows and Stars, and it's really one of the most beautiful covers. She actually did the work on it and designed it and stuff, and so she has an amazing journey. Anybody who has been going through this, especially in the truther community, or whether you're in it or not, but she was she's a housewife, and she was actually a killer in business too, and great in sales. She was amazing. That's how I met her. But she was, it shows her journey from being like a staunch Catholic conservative, to moving, going through this process of starting to meditate and starting to see certain things and starting to grow, and realizing that, wow, I have a family that knows nothing about this stuff, and I don't want to lose my family if I'm going down this road. And so she talks through it, and I think so many people are going through um, some different things now that are maybe hard for them to explain to their family, and don't know how to, kind of bring it along, or think they're alone, right? And so what she's done is she documented, it's almost like her memoir, of things she's done, things that she's seen, things that that happened to her that were kind of scary, some were really wild to hear, and then what I thought about it in the beginning, and her journey, and kind of where I was at with it, where our youngest young teenager thought about it at the time, and our our daughter, who was in her mid 20s at the time, what she thought about it, and so it was really interesting with that family dynamic and where she is today. She has a website, and she's helping so many people with her intuitive, the downloads that she gets, helping people through some challenging times in their life. And so it's, at Visions Beyond the Desert is her website. Right now, I think she's actually revamping some of the things. So you would have to. She has an email that you could, that I'll leave in the description, to her deep dives, website, email, that you can actually email her, and she'll get right back to you. And once the website's back up and running, she'll let everybody know. And then I wrote the book here. This is from Grigory Grabovoy, and it's the frequency formula. I hope you can see it. And basically, he was a mathematician who, the universe is made up of numbers, geometry, right, different shapes, and musical notes, right? If a musical note is a frequency, is a shape, right? And also the numbers that go together. Uh, and so what he's done is he put these numbers together. So if you're looking for, you know, strength, resilience in the face of challenges, right? I just opened to that page. That is crazy. And what I was just talking about. But if you were looking at that Grabavoy code is 9172834, and strengthening resilience in the face of challenges. Amazing. Releasing anxiety about peer pressure. That's another one. Building healthy friendships. And there's all codes that if you're meditating and you really want to build yourself, there's a way to do it. But you can use these codes in your meditations with affirmations, and it makes it so much more just way stronger. It's like putting your meditation on steroids. And so I'm going to go at the end. I'm going to give you this number again. And so this will be, I'll just give this one to you for today. But yeah, it's the 9172834. And, let me just put it in here. So, sorry, 9172834 is the Grabavoy code. All right. All right. So yeah, and you can pick the books up on Kindle if you want to check them out, and Kindle and Amazon. Okay, so let's get into this here. So again, yeah, there's no end game in sight. There's just growth. So if you're not growing, if you're not getting up and moving forward, you're going to have a problem. And so you're always growing, and which is why training is so important. Getting a mentor is so important. And this is just not for for one area. This is for closers, for seekers. This is for anybody who's tired of hoping for a breakthrough. Right? If you continue to hope for a breakthrough, uh, like they say, the road of hope leads to nowhere. You can't just hope and pray that something happens. You have to build it, right? So you got to build breakthroughs. You don't hope for one. And so whether you're watching charts, watching people, or watching yourself fall short, right, and you're seeing it, what I hope this episode really does, it gives you the tools, the mindset, and the map to move forward with clarity, consistency, and control in the face of massive adversity. Okay, and so that's really really important. So one, as always, we'll go through the market snapshot and give you a little pulse of the market. So you have the Dow pulled back a little bit when I did this. I didn't look at it today, but I probably the Fed uncertainty from the Federal Reserve with if they're going to do a rate hike, which is that's what the signals are, but we'll see. And there's some global economic jitters from Europe and Asia. And of course, there's still uncertainty with what's going on with Iran and Israel, Ukraine, and Russia. It's just it's a mess that this administration was left with. Hopefully, he could get a handle on it and get out of it without any bloodshed. But the crypto market we have XRP. It's hovering right around its support. And then Ripple's Asia expansion headlines show clear intent for cross-border domination. So XRP, like I keep saying, it's quietly building and all this noise going on. The Ripple platform and XRP is continuing to make moves and continuing to move forward, which is why I think when Jason and I on Crypto Corner continue to talk about the Ripple family of cryptos and the ones that we concentrate on. We're so excited about the future for this. Same thing, XLM is showing parallel growth patterns. Think of it as the cousin to XRP, and it's going to be helping the unbanked, and it's also going to be helping the kind of the remittance corridors, right? And so we have that, and then you have Corium is still pushing smart contracts, and it's having speed improvements, which it's already. Actually, it's faster than XRP, but it's actually improving on its speed. positioning itself as a true DeFi infrastructure, which is huge. And that's the one that also has the um, passive income model on it that Jason and I talk about. So that's that. Sologenic is going to be kind of the world asset tokenization. It's still in its development mode, but they're dropping updates on licensing, I think, this quarter. And then you have Stronghold is focused on B2B, right? Business to business payments and compliance, and it's still flying under the radar, but it's building the critical rails it needs to kind of be the go-to for that. So that's really exciting. So those are just some of the ones that we talk about. There's a couple more, but those are like the main ones. So and we don't want to watch crypto like a gambler, right? That's not what we're doing. We watch it like an investor with purpose, which is why we always choose ones with they have utility in this new world, in the quantum system, and they really have a utility where they can be used to make life easier, to make and this is going to be with the financial system, so transferring money from country to country or institution to institutions, XLM, peer to peer, Stronghold, business to business, and then you have Corium with speeds of the smart contracts, and Sologenic where you can be able to tokenize real estate, physical gold, stocks. Everything could be tokenized, right? So you can own, if there's a building that has $1 million a month in rents, right, and you want to own 1/100th of that, you can get a token. You can buy a token because it's tokenized, and the token cuts that building up into whatever, 1,000 slices. You can buy 10 of them, whatever it would cost, right? And you'll make that income. So you can do it. Where we're headed is nothing short of miraculous and really, really exciting. So but that's for the crypto. And so I'm sorry, it's got a call coming in. All right. So moving forward, so that's kind of the markets. I didn't want to go into all the markets again, just those two. But so I wanted to talk about sales through storytelling, and this is when I kind of now I do kind of a hybrid mix. I do a mix of it, but I always sell through stories. That's how I was trained in the beginning when I first started, and when I was running a sales team and at a bank and a bank branch. I always sold through stories, and there was always something. There was a saying that everyone should know if you're in sales, right? Is facts tell, stories sell. And the reason is, if you just tell people facts, even if they're great facts about what you're selling, people buy when you make them feel something, right? They're not going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And if you can tell a story and where it's powerful enough where they can see the image in their head of them using that product or that service, and the image in their head, how it's helping solve that pain point, and you can kind of let them see kind of exactly what it would do to their family's life, to their life, and how that solution would really help. It is such a powerful tool to use, especially if you believe in the product you're selling and that it could really create a solution. You want to make sure you're doing something like that, so more and more people are buying it because you're bringing massive value to the market. And again, in turn, we don't chase commission. We chase bringing value to the market. The more value you bring to the market, the more you'll get rewarded monetarily, right? That'll take care of itself always. So when you look at storytelling, it builds emotional trust and connection. Um, and the other saying is, if you tell it right, you'll sell it light. And meaning that if you tell the story and you build a story the right way, because you've been listening to the customer, you know what they need, you know their pain points, and you care enough to listen actively and even write down some of the stuff so and then you can kind of formulate your sales pitch as almost like an image that can form in their head on literally how it's helping them. When you ask them, how does that sound? If you did a good job, what they'll say is, um, you know what? That sounds great because I think this ABC product is I've never heard of one that can do this and this, and I really this will really help me out. I think and solve my issues. And once you have a customer restating and saying it right, then it becomes absolute truth and fact in their head because they're saying it, not the salesperson. So when the salesperson is saying it, they can always look with a side eye thinking he's trying to make a sale or she's trying to make a sale. But if you can do a good enough job where the customer can see the power in what you're selling because you told a great story, right, on how it can help them and they can envision it, and they actually repeat it and they say it, it's absolute fact. And if you don't get the sale, it's because you just didn't ask for it. Again, you're not asking for the sale directly. It's right there. That's it. You got the hard part out of the way. You just didn't ask for the business. And so um, the story starts to become the bridge between the client and the solution. So that's kind of what the story is. You have the client, and here's your solution, water, right? And that bridge is the story you tell. So whatever arc that story you're telling, and how you get there, and how how you craft it and how you're saying it, um, the more powerful you can deliver it, the sturdier that bridge, and they'll feel more comfortable walking right over it, right to your solution. When it works great. And you want to know that customer will remember you. And those became the stories that I told that were the most poignant, that made the customer feel, you know, the most feel like they were being not only taken care of, but what I was providing them was a real answer to what their pain point was. There is no way those customers would not stay with me regardless, no matter what is happening out there, who's giving a better interest rate, who has a better deal on a car, who's going to have a lower monthly payment for them. They will not they won't go nowhere because they're not going to remember, you know, these arbitrary things that happen with another salesperson, right, or another representative. What they're going to remember is how you made them feel, and or how that other salesman made them feel. And if you're making them feel, inside, if you're making them feel good about what they're buying, if you're making them feel like you're taking care of their family, if you're making them feel like you care, um, and that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to even necessarily remember what you said to them. They're going to remember when they equate your name or your image, right? They'll immediately have a smile on their face and say like, "I love him. I love her." That's they're amazing. If you need anything, go to him or her. That's when you know you did your job the best. And the only way to do that is not by lying, not by tricking anybody, not by telling false stories. What it is, it's by being genuine, by always keeping the customer at the center of your presentation, and always keeping their needs at the forefront of what you're trying to solve. You're not trying to solve your financial problems. You're trying to solve their pain points. And if you can always keep that in the center of what you're doing, and you can make them feel strongly enough about it and have an image in their head, you will become their number one person, and it'll be repetitive business over a long period of time rather than a one and done because it was just an empty feeling. It was a means to an end. They bought something from you. Great. You got your commission, and now they won't take your call again, or they won't come in there again. Right. That's what you don't want. So, when you're a sales pro, that don't always mean that you're the closer, right? You might be a trusted guide, right? You might be the specialist who sets up a closer, right? So now you're setting up someone else to close the deal, right? Or you're setting up your customer to go to a specialist in a different area. And for instance, if you say work in a bank and you go sit and you open up a checking account and a credit card for somebody, great. But now if you're uncovering needs that they may need to refinance, right, or they may need to invest or get open up a retirement plan to do some investing in it, you may need to refer them to a investment specialist. If they're going to refinance their mortgage or they want to buy a home, to a mortgage specialist. If they have a business that they're opening and they need merchant services, a merchant partner or a business partner, right? And how are you doing that? So how are you referring them over? And the reason why that's a powerful thing to do is because, one thing that raises red flags with me is when there's one guy who's an expert in everything. He can do everything for you better than anybody, and he's just a master of all. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. And so, if you can get your ego out of the way, you want to use storytelling and edification is probably the two most powerful tools you can use if you're working with a great system that can be considered 100% of the correct information, or a specialist who's going to be considered 100% of the correct information. And so once you have that and you get your ego out of the way, you edify. And it shouldn't be edify. It should be edification should be going both ways if you want it to be as really powerful. And so the reason why it works is because it bypasses skepticism, like the skepticism I would have if I'm talking to somebody about opening a checking account, and then I want to open up a business merchant, and they're trying to talk to me about they're going to do my merchant, and then they're going to do my investment, and then they're going to do my mortgage. It's just like, there's no way. There's no way that you're going to give me your absolute best at each of those, because there's no way you can. Those are they're specialized fields, right? And so those people who are in those fields are licensed. They've been doing it. They're continuing education. They know what's out there. They know the process, so there's just no way to have experience in all these things. So it humanizes your solution. Why? Because you're doing a good job for them. You're creating rapport. You're creating the trust, right, of the triangle, and so you're creating the trust portion of it, and then you have the respect portion of it, and the expert, right, that's coming in there. And so you, if you're the one who's setting up the closer, if you're the one setting up the specialist, you want to make sure that you're creating, and what the job you're doing for them is creating just a massive amount of credibility and trust in what you do and why you do what you do and how you're helping that customer. Because once they trust you, when you edify somebody else as being, and we can go through what the word track is for that, but being the best at what they do and why you send your customers there, when that specialist calls that customer, it's going to be a very different conversation than if I just go, oh yeah, I'll do your personal account. Okay, yeah, it's done. You're going to go talk to Joe about your business account. Okay. Yeah, you can talk to Joe, like that, right? That when Joe calls, the customer is going to be like, okay, and what you can open up my business account. There's nothing there. It's kind of like a relationship that Joe has to work hard at just to get rapport built, right? Just to get a little respect out of that customer. They don't care they're listening, but they're listening half-assed. They may be taking a phone call or texting as he's talking to them. And so if you know how to edify properly, and you can get your ego out of the way and you edify somebody else, it becomes a thing where you and that person, especially with the cross edification back and forth on each other, you can have a client literally leave your business, leave your whatever establishment you're in, thinking, wow, what a luck. I just worked with the best team in the business. And it's really because we edified each other, but it's because the trust, respect, and the, say, the 100% of the correct information part of it that's how powerful that triangle is, right? And so it humanizes the solutions you give when you're not the one given every single solution for every facet of business, because there is no way people are going to know that, okay, this is not going to be right. All they have to do is a little research or go talk to one person who is an expert, and they'll blow you out of the water. And so it builds a kind of it builds a relatable, and a competent relationship with your customers. But again, because they can relate to you as far as what you're selling and how you're building, and you're building that rapport. But it's also a competency because they realize, hey, I don't want to. I want to make sure I put you with the absolute best. I don't. I can do it for you, but I want you to have the absolute best, right? And so there's a respect level that they'll have for you as well. So you know there. Okay, so really quick, what I'll tell you is this: is that um, they're not going to remember your pitch. Your pitch is very important because it's going to craft your story, but it's how you do it. So again, they're never going to forget the way you made them feel. And when you can step out of the way, that is huge. Customers will realize, like, they're going to say, "Wow, look at this. He instead of him doing all the business, he's actually stepping back and letting me talk to somebody because he's looking out for the good of me, not for him." And it goes a long way. It just goes a very long way. So um, if we have time at the end, I'll go through a quick story and a quick some word tracks you can use, and I also have a worksheet for you. But um, that's kind of, so the sales portion of it again is, storytelling is, to me, the absolute best way to sell if you're selling somebody, kind of whether they're sitting right in front of you over the phone. There's nothing like storytelling. So if you can get good at that, great. And if there's time, I could go through a quick scenario of like how a quick story that I use to sell, somebody. I can go through one. So when it comes to self development, um, everybody is looking for this huge transformation overnight, right? That you listen to whoever, right? The big dog Tony Robbins, or you listen to the Savage Andy Elliott, or you listen to Grant Cardone, well, whoever you're listening to. And I know because I listen to them all too. But you do a couple of things, and then it's like you think it's like this. You're waiting for this one. You're hoping for this one big transformation that your life changes overnight, and that's kind of like the lottery mindset, right? You pick your numbers and you hope to God that you're going to have this big transformation, but that is not how it works, right? That's not how it works. And it does it happen here and there? Yes, it does happen. It's a possibility, right? It's not probable. It's probable, not possible, right? That it could happen. It's a very small uh, percentage that happens to, and you don't want to hope on, a 3% success rate that you're going to have this big significant change overnight. And we all go through it because we all get so excited when we hear these guys talk, which is why they're great at what they do, right? We get so excited that we think if we implement some of their principles, that tomorrow I'll be 6'7", like Tony Robbins, and I'll be able to do all the things he does, and all his knowledge is going to be in my head, and I'm going to be able to like change the world in about 3 weeks. It's not going to happen like that, right? It's incremental changes, incremental small changes over time will give you massive shifts, right? And again, it's one of the things that I think is missing in this whole genre of self-help is you have everybody, and then you have these guys that are like just super successful talking about being savages and or whatever else they use with their lingo that gets us psyched up, right? It gets us psyched. We can go out and run through a wall for a day, but that's it. And I think what's missing is the whole middle part of it, of people who are actually going through life experiences that go through all these breakthroughs, and how you go through incremental breakthroughs and the different levels on the way up. Because what happens is we want to change everything, right? They want us, they talk about spiritual, physical, right? Change your physical body, go to the gym and go max out 400 pounds, right? So your testosterone goes through the roof, and smoke 5 cigars as you're doing it, because that's manly, right? And all this dumb shit. But when you go through that, and then you want to do your financial health, right? So now you have goals for that you need to fix, right? And then your self-development, what you're going to do, right? Then you should you should meditate on what you're doing, right? And then when you wake up, you should do affirmations on all those things. And what happens is for the first week we do it, right? Or you do it, but what happens? It's so overwhelming to try and fix every aspect of your life, right? Let's say the big five, right? The spiritual, emotional, your personal, financial, relationship, right? However you want to name those, the core ones that we would want to fix. To fix all of them at one time is so daunting that, which is why we have that's why what we do, and I think that's why that industry grew so big, and they have so many repeat customers. It's like recidivism in jail. People commit crimes, create more crimes because they're criminals, right? So, but I think that's what it does. It creates a recidivism rate for them where they go, and it's not a put down on them. I listen to them too. I those guys, I call them. They're like my mentors. I don't even know them, right? But what happens is you get so overwhelmed because you're trying to do so much and get this big change, right? That you quit. And we all, I did it, right? Until I realized there is a huge layer in the middle that you can have great success. You don't have to make $10 million a month right away. If that's what your goal is, God bless you. And I hope to God that you get there. But I think if you miss out on the middle layers of how to get there and how to overcome these small problems, or that are huge to you now, but once you overcome them and 5 years down the road of being consistently incremental in your growth and building momentum, what can you be in 5 years? What can you be in 1 year? Well, in 5 years, just think, if you took two aspects of your life that you want to get better, or just one, right? And even though we need to work on all of them, but let's say you took one, and your goals that you've put down, just if you did incremental improvements on one of them where you can really handle it and you can actually do the work, right? Not say you're going to do the work, but most of us won't even get to where we're actually writing it down in a quiet place to really think about it, right? That's the truth, right? And then when we do write it down, the book you write it down in, you probably use that after about a month as a shimmy under a table that's wobbly, right? Because you never read it again. And then what you do is, when you see some of another seminar out there that's going to transform your life, you do the same thing. And it's just over and over and over again, right? And that's the definition of what? Insanity. So what the niche I think that I am really going to concentrate on is to get you to realize that we're going to do small changes. Consistency and discipline on small changes in your life will lead to massive change, kind of down the road, and depending on how many years you want to put on it. But what I can tell you is that there is nobody talking to us, and I mean us, like all of us, me included, about how are you overcoming the challenges when you were living paycheck to paycheck or direct deposit to direct deposit, and now you got knocked on your ass, right? Now you have these different stresses of how are you going to pay bills, right? Or how are you going to, look at your little one, if you have a baby, how do you look at them in the face without totally breaking down, knowing that you failed them, right? Or feel like you failed them. That's the feeling you would get, right? And all those emotions, what they're doing is that's those negative emotions stacking up on you. It's very hard to hit your chest and change your state, and then you're all of a sudden you're in this great state and you're going to go and you're going to conquer the world. It's not going to work that way. And so that also layers on top of you, as you not being good enough, right? Because it's not going to work. And so as seductive as it sounds, right? That lottery mindset that you do a couple of things and then all of a sudden you're a millionaire. It's seductive, and it seduced me when I was younger as well. But I am going to create, my business here to help my whoever I'm mentoring, whoever I'm taking on is going to be layering a foundation, right, on and above each other, and building a foundation of these small incremental changes that'll get bigger and bigger incrementally, right? Where you're creating such a momentum and you're seeing success that you can actually build on through consistency and discipline, not motivation. I don't want to scream at you and we get crazy and you're motivated for a couple of days and then we got to do it all again because motivation is kind of fleeting, right? Motivation is not where you need to be. We need to be at consistent discipline. So if you feel good, you're in a good mindset. If you feel bad, you get in a good mindset. If it's raining out, you're in a good mindset. If it's sunny out, you're in a good mindset, right? That's the consistency and discipline, because you can't be motivated when it's nice out and then when it rains out, you're depressed, right? And everything is going to just, you're going to be yo-yoing up and down and up and down. And so as exciting as the one big change is, that that lottery mindset that you're just going to have one massive change, unlikely, but we are going to do it in a way where we are going to work with real life experience. And like I said, on these shows, if you watch, this is kind of baby food compared to what we would do in a personal setting, because we are going to get raw and we are going to dig in. But what you will learn how to do is you will create a life for you and your family that is not only sustainable, but it will far exceed where you need to be bill wise, right? It'll far exceed that. You'll start to make money where you're getting into, a good level. It's not the you're not making $10 million a month, but it's everything you need to do to build up to. It'll be the catalyst and it'll be the springboard if we go through the process where once we get to a certain point, that would be the springboard where you'll get to where I get you, and where you're sustaining yourself because you can do it yourself. You don't need to have someone there all the time, but I'll be there for you. But you can do it yourself. You're confident you can do it yourself. Your wife is going to look at you like you're a hero in the house, and so are your kids. And that's going to be the springboard for you to make as much money as you want, depending on how much life balance you want with your family and work. Just depends on, everybody has a different way of looking at it. But that whole middle niche of people, which is like 97% of us, we need to know how to conquer these challenges now. And when you start to do that and we start to work on consistent discipline and build that momentum, in 5 years, you will be a beast compared to what you were 5 years prior, right? And if you continue to build like that, you'll look at the challenges that you thought you could never handle and you'll brush them off like they were little gnats. You'll brush them off. And again, you'll look at the universe and say, is that all you got? That's your hardest hit? Because I'm still coming. You put me down, but I am still coming. I will never stop. There's no end game to this. We either grow or we die, right? If we're not getting better, we're shrinking, and that's unacceptable. And there's no end game. So how many times does universe need to knock you down and knock you on your ass? How many times do you get back up? When is it over? Is 10 times? After 10 times are you giving up? After 20 times, 50 times? When do you give up? Never. There's never an end point, right? And the harder it hits, the faster we want to get up in gratitude and find out what we needed to learn, because we know that when we get hit that hard, that there is going to be a massive opportunity that's going to be around the bend if we look at it the right way, take the right lessons from it, and move forward in the right mindset and get that victimhood shit out, right? So that's kind of where I really wanted to hit on, because I as I look at more and more of these shows, all I see is these grand gestures. If you do this, it's the best in the world. If you do this, it's you'll 100% close rate. There's no way that happens. That's ridiculous, right? But we get excited. I do too. But what we do need to do is get real life experience of someone who's been there, who's been knocked down. And again, I do from very personal. I get very, very personal. And when you hear some of the things that I have had to come back from, or I'm coming back from, or had to come back from, most people would have threw in they would have just threw in the dice. They would have just I'm done, because sometimes it would have felt with for most people would have given up, and that's the people I want to help. Those are the people that need to know that you can go through it, you can move through it, and and sometimes we all need a little help. We need someone to put their hand out and just give us a little bit of help, not do it for us, but just to say, hey, I know what you're going through. Do this, this, and this, and you'll see some changes happen a little bit, and it'll start to crack through, where you'll start to see some light, and that little light will get bigger and bigger, and you start to move through it. And this is happening at a faster pace, but you're back on top, and now you overcome a challenge that you weren't going to come back from, and you did. You learned from it. We went through what the lessons were in it, how not that, and not to repeat it, but what did you learn from it, and the calluses that you have now, and that'll give you the confidence to move through the next problem and the next challenge. Because the day you don't have challenges to overcome, my friends, means you're dead, right? Everybody's got problems. I don't care how rich you are. Everybody's got problems. And the day you don't have any problems is the day they're burying you. And so every day you open your eyes, that is a miracle. That is something to be grateful for. And no matter what you're going through, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and you got to use your resourcefulness. And again, use a mentor. And if you want to reach out, by all means, you can reach out. And if I have a spot, I don't like to take on too many people, because I give a lot of myself to my clients. I like to keep it small, and I like to really work where we can have quality results. And I don't care about having 100,000 people on screens all over the place. And what I care about is helping that one person that can get out of it something where they become the hero in their house, and their family is living a better life because of what we've done. That's what I look for. So that's the all right. So that's the self-development part of it. And so we want to look at incremental changes. What are your daily choices? Are your choices, every choice you make, before you make that decision, are you making that decision and thinking about, what is this decision going to mean? What's going to be the result? Is it a positive or negative? No matter what decision, no matter what it's about. Is it about drinking a soda or a bottle of water, right? Eating something bad or eating an apple, right? Anything. It doesn't matter what the decision is. Is it going to help you? Is it going to put you, your body, your mind in the best place? So no matter what challenge comes up, you're at your best to handle it. It doesn't mean you're going to always win. It doesn't mean you're going to not get knocked down because you made the right choice. Life is life. But if you're not looking at your health, right, and making good decisions there, because you care enough about yourself to eat right, or not drink soda, or not do this. And again, we all slip up. Nobody's perfect, right? Anyone who professes to be, they're bullshitting, right? So you got to look what they're selling. But we all make mistakes here and there. But if you can look at your decisions for the most part and find, is this going to positively affect or negatively affect my body, my mind, my health, in which way? And you want to make sure it's going to the positive. That's the decision you make, and you continue to do that. You'll stack those decisions on the right side of the T graph, right, on the positive side, and you will move in the right direction, and good things will start to happen, right? And if anything does happen, that is kind of throwing you a curveball. Again, you'll be in the optimum physical state, mental state, to try to handle it as best you can, and that's all you can ask of yourself. And so these micro disciplines are huge. Writing your goals daily, weekly, seeing where you're at the end of the day. What you did well is what I want you to always concentrate on, and positively reinforce what you did well that day. Always, what challenges came up that day, what goals you have the next day, what are your priorities that need to get done, in your workday. And if you can start to plan out that stuff before you start your workday, whether it's the evening before or the morning of, you'll see that you'll time manage your day better, because when I do that, I time manage my day in such a way where I feel like I get the most productivity out of every minute that I am either on the phone with somebody or client facing or in that span of work, right? If I don't, then I feel like I am not, because the distractions are always happening, right? But if I schedule it, then it's happening, right? And then it's something I'm focusing in on. Of course, distractions are there. There's a lot of them, and they're there. And again, you're going to get distracted. You want to get as close to that 100% focus on your task as you can for the time you need to. And if you can start doing that again, anything where you're really focusing in on, I can I would bet that most 85% of the time you're going to have a great result, and I would bet on that, right? So again, choose one or two areas of your life to improve. Don't overwhelm yourself because you're going to quit. So the hard truth is, ask yourself, when does it end? Meaning, when does it end? When if you feel like you keep getting knocked on your butt, right? You keep getting knocked on your ass by the universe, and by problems that are coming up that just seem that you have this black cloud over your head, that no one else has these problems but you. And so ask yourself, when does it end? When do you stop getting back up and trying? How many times? How many times you have in you? 150, 10, 1,000? How many times do you have it in you to get back up, right? Pick yourself back up and start again. Every time life punches you in the face, do you get up or do you sit and cry about it? Are you getting up and you're seeing what your accountability is and why that happened to you? Because there is always an accountability, right? And so you want to look in the mirror, and you got to take that accountability on and know that you do have control, and you're a co-creator in your life. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's going to be freeing for you. That'll be empowering for you. It's not going to be where you're knocking yourself down and you feel like you're talking shit about yourself. No, you're taking an accountability, knowing that, okay, this was my fault. This is I got complacent for a bit, and man, I took a beating for it, right? I made a bad shot, and you made me pay for it, right? I'm not going to do that again. But if I made that bad shot and nothing happened, guess what? I'll make that bad shot again. And if nothing happened, I'll make that bad shot again. And the problem with that is, every time I do that, the one time I do pay for it, it's going to be when it cost me the most. And so what you want to do is, when you make that bad shot, you take accountability immediately, right? And you fix it immediately, and you get stronger immediately, and you're in gratitude immediately for that lesson, because the time will not come when you make that bad shot and it is so costly you lose your family, or you lose you lose so much that it can really be crippling, right? So that's where you want to make sure. That's why it's important. That's why it's empowering, right? At the time, it's going to seem all encompassing, that whatever consequence you feel like you're getting, but it's not, right? It's not. It's just that one moment in time. But if it goes unchecked, you will pay for it, right? There's no free lunches in life. And the time you do pay for it, because you've avoided it, it's going to be more costly than you know. So we got to move through that. And there's no finish line. There's just next levels. So there is no end game. It doesn't matter if you get knocked down 100,000 times, you get up 101,000 times, right? It don't matter. You got to come to grips with that and realize that's what's going to happen. There is no finish line. There's no end. There's no there. It's the journey up the mountain that never ends, and you got to keep pushing, right? And then every time that you do get punched in the face, we take accountability for we dropped our left, right? You dropped your left, you got punched in the face, right? It's not that guy's fault that he punched you in the face. Your hand wasn't up, right? You didn't block your face, right? So bottom line is, you have to get your skills better. So in sales, in life, if you are not selling somebody something, or being productive, or whatever it is you do, then you need to be looking for somebody to sell or do what you do. Or the third thing is training. You need to sharpen your axe continuously, and continuously train with an intent to get better, not to train to pass time, but train to get better. And if it means you take on less training, but you do it more significantly and have more of a quality training, then do it. Don't do an hour training, do a half hour, right? If that's what you can handle for now. And then you build on that. But do what you can do, and you can get quality learning in. Because I can tell you, with me, every time I did a training and took the time to invest in myself in training and learning something, someone walked onto the dealership lot, or someone called about gold or silver or in investments, and they happened to call about that thing I just trained on and I just learned, and I was able to talk it through with them and get a deal, which I wouldn't have been able to because I wouldn't have known that information. It has happened so many times, it's past coincidence at this point. So continually train. That's what the trainings are there for. And at today's day and age, there is no reason, absolutely none, not to continuously train with all the technology, social media. You can get the best of the best that's out there and do some training on very specific niches. So there is like literally no excuse anymore. A couple of things in the morning, you got to move. I know I like to go play pickleball. I go play. It instantaneously, smiles on my face. My blood is moving. My heart is racing a little bit because I'm running, and I just that motion creates emotion, right? And it just puts you in it. Even if I have a bad game, I don't even get frustrated. I'm just happy. I'm out. It's beautiful out. I'm alive. I feel good. I'm running. It's motion really does create a great emotion in you. And so prime yourself for what you want, not what you fear, right? You're not, I'm not doing that, or you're not going to the gym because you fear you're going to be fat, right? Or you fear you're going to be, you're not going to be in a great, you're going to be in a depression. No, we don't do that, right? We prime ourselves for success. Fear, scarcity, lack, that's not coming into our field, right? And so discipline, if you look at if discipline, if I can give you a meaning of discipline, that to me that's your destiny, right? If the most disciplined people will have the most predictable destiny, right? Because discipline is where you need to be, and it's very, very difficult to have that discipline every day, throughout the day. It's very difficult, and if you can start small, you can build on it, just like a muscle. Just like when you started bench pressing or when you started running and you couldn't run a mile, now you run every day and now you're running 10 miles. That's it, right? You have to build to it. And so you want to make sure you have your daily habits to make sure you're hitting your weekly goals, your weekly habits to hit your monthly goals, and so on. And so, if you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. It's just a thought, right? If you have goals and they're in your head, they're just thoughts and you're not serious about it. So when people come to me and ask me, hey, how did you do this? Or how did you close that? This customer was so mad. How did you do this? I always like, do you really want to know? Or are you just asking? Right? Because why do I got to waste my time? Right? If you really want to know, then I'm going to tell you, and then we're going to have to start to learn about it. You're going to implement it, tell me how it went, and we're going to have to do this whole thing. If you just want to know because you want me to tell you how it is, and it's just going to, you're going to forget about it tomorrow. You're not going to take any action on it. It's a waste of time. I'd rather not deal with that. So, if you're not writing it down, if you're not taking it serious, it's just a thought, and you're just kidding yourself. So you got to write it down. And again, I forget to write. I don't write stuff down either. I have some great ideas. I want to put it down, and then different things happen. So again, I'm on the same page with a lot of you, but I'm just further along, and I stepped on a lot of the landmines that I think I could help you guys avoid. All right, so just to go over a summary of everything is, understand the markets, understand how the crypto is evolving, some of the ones that we spoke about. You don't have to be an expert, have an understanding of it. So not only can you capitalize on it, but you may have customers that are investing in it, that are looking for it. And at least you'll have a timeline on when maybe they can shake some money loose. Or if you see something doing good, maybe if they're going to liquidate, that's when they can purchase your product. It all depends, it just depends, but have an idea of what's going on so you can have a conversation intelligently about it, right? Um, Remember, sales isn't pressure. You're not a high pressure and this kind of this uh, thing that this image everybody has in their head of a car salesman or insurance salesman, and this bad connotation. That's not what it is. Sales isn't pressure. It's connecting through storytelling. Storytelling is such a powerful way to sell, right? Stories sell and facts tell. So storytelling is huge. Um, self development. It isn't lightning, right? It's not this one big change. Let's see. It's it's kind of the rhythm, right? The rhythm that's rising, right? It's when a rhythm is rising, how it builds on itself. That really, and it's like you can feel the emotion in you building with it. That's that's what that is, right? That's what self development is. When you're building all the way throughout. So don't make anyone distract you with no. You're here instead of it building lightning. It's lightning in a box. It's going to be, tomorrow you're going to be, the next Tony Robbins. Don't work that way. And a lot of work went into that guy being where he is. So you don't arrive at success, right? You become it through action. The bigger the action, the more massive the action, the faster you can get there. But there are steps that need to be taken to get there. You cannot skip steps to get there, right? You can't if you're going up 3 flights of stairs, you can't go up 2 flights, you go from first floor to the third floor, right? If you can't miss the second floor steps, you're not going to get to the third floor. It's just not going to happen. That's how it is. All right. Don't don't be seduced by you're going to move from level 1 and you're going to be on the top of the Empire State Building tomorrow because you're so successful. It doesn't work that way. Even though there are some crazy pump stories that people got, that's not going to happen. So again, probable, not possible, and I'd rather deal in what's possible, not probable. Otherwise, your life will be a crazy yo-yo. Um, all right, so I do have a worksheet that I am going to put again in this in here, and basically, I want you to clarify one personal and one professional goal for the next 30 days. List 3 disciplines that you're going to do to support it, right? Because you got to put action behind it, right? When we're writing it down, ask yourself every morning, what are you going to create today? So, what are you creating today? Okay, you're going to create excuses today, or you're going to you're going to start to create the new you, right? The new you who don't create excuses, right? That's the old you. We're going to go 2.0 version right now. Schedule it. If it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen, right? So if you need time that you're going to be on the lot, time you're going to make phone calls, times you're going to take inbound phone calls, times you got to, go and go look through some of the cars or take them for a test ride so you can learn the equipment and kind of fiddle around with them so you know what you're talking about and know your product. Schedule it. Schedule everything. The more you can schedule, the better. If you can't stick to it all the way, fine. You can always, it can evolve and you can adapt it, but schedule what you need to do. And every Sunday, right, reflect on the week, which you should be doing every day, right? And on Sunday, reflect back on the week and see where you've come, what you've done, what's worked for you, what didn't work for you, and then what you need to do to start off having a great week this next week coming. And whatever happened the prior week, it's behind you, right? Don't sit and gloat and be a last week all-star next week. If you had a good week, that's great, but it's done, right? You need to have another good week. So don't sit on top of the world and get complacent because you've done well. And if you had a bad week, don't sit in despair and victimhood and in pity city and build a little house in pity city and live there. Don't do that. Drop it off your back. Like we were talking about Tom Brady, he throws an interception. He comes back on offense. The next thing he does is throw another pass, right? Because he wiped that interception out of his mind. If he didn't, that's when you see quarterbacks throw 2 and 3 interceptions consecutively, is because they're wearing it. They're wearing it, right? You got to get it off like a dump truck. You up and you dump all that garbage off your back and you hit that new week like that never happened. Okay, so that's some of the things we want to do. And when you reflect and then you recalibrate moving forward. And so again, I'll get the worksheet. I'll put it on the bottom here, and so you'll be able to use it to go through your get putting your thoughts down and what you want to do, and then what I'll do is, since we are out of time, I'll see if I'll make a note for next time. I'll go through uh, a sample of one of the times that I was using storytelling in a face-to-face interaction where I was coaching somebody, and they had a customer in front of them that came in. They were pissed off at the bank, and they closed their personal accounts, and and I was just sitting there watching, coaching the interaction shoulder to shoulder, and I waited till she closed her accounts, and when she was about to get up and go, I started to talk to her, and she wound up opening up a business account, and we had a merchant referral and a business credit card, and we did that. And when she left, I remember my banker turned around and he was just like, "How?" She was pissed off closing her accounts. How did you do that? And storytelling, right? Storytelling is so powerful. And if we don't have time today, but I'll go into some of the to what it is, and then some of the word tracks that you can use. Um, and Yeah, and so that's going to be it for today. So I hope you got a lot out of this. And again, if you want to do a 15-minute consultation, by all means, it's not don't cost anything. We can go through, and if you feel like we make a match, and I feel like we make a match, uh, I'll be happy to. We can go on a and see what package you want as far as mentoring, um, and um, and move forward from there, and create a relationship where you see a lot of success from it, real life success that actually makes sense, that what you can do right now to start to change your life. So I wish all of you the best, and God bless, and I'll talk to you next week on the same bat channel. And that's it for today. Bye bye.